probably the smartest thing you can do on the internet in a situation like this. Engaging with every person said to here is a bad habit. Sometimes you just have to log off to stay above it all. So, you do just that, and decide to start looking around the internet to try and find out why these freaks are harassing you. You find a few of them talking, a different group than the one that was harassing you, and discovered that you're not the only one that's being targeted here. Sounds like these weirdos have a whole list, and we're about to go visit someone else. And based on their response to the koalas, that someone else looks to be a kid. Instead of ignoring them like you were smart enough to do, the kid gets mad and tries to fight back, and that's probably exactly what this koala clan wanted, to use this kid's anger and end up bruising his ego pretty badly. He's fallen into the well at this point of just getting angry online. You think you're just gonna go in for a little bit of a sip of this. All of a sudden you're drowning in your own anger and you're just going deeper and deeper. Again, you all did not take the fun option, but you did this one. Now, if any of you had been a little bit more reckless, you might have you're done being silent and decide to back this kid up, log back in and jump right into the but exactly what I say, offer some kind of kind words to maybe try to do some damage. Either way, your voice is going to be heard today. Make it count. Hello. Good evening. How are we all doing tonight? I'm not sure if any of you can hear me right now. That's why I have included a little message right here. I'm going to circle it, just in case you can't hear me right now. First stream in a while, so you'll forgive me for a lot of things not working, including my little avatar over here. Couldn't figure out how to get the one that typed working again, but I figured this guy can be a good little substitute. Get him go. Fun. Professional. Everything about this stream screams professional, including the fact that I somehow created 2 accidental streams, and I'm not... YouTube told me that if I streamed and premiered something, I could roll into a stream, and I said, that sounds nice. I'll go ahead and set the stream for you to roll into. And they said, cool. We'll let everyone know that you have 2 streams going on at the same time. So here we are. Hey, some people can hear. Excellent. Hope you all have been doing well. I think it's been about a couple months since I last uploaded or did anything. You're not counting that one video that I uploaded and then immediately took down because I was not, it was kind of a not super well thought out video that people were responding angrily to. Kind of just an in-joke about 4chan, so I could kind of get why some people would be a little miffed about it. So then it's just now a Discord exclusive, so if you have access to the Discord, I'll leave it to you to find it and enjoy the 20 seconds of dumb thing I came up with. Monius, Best Buy. Hey, got some new faces. Reinhold, Augustin. And Jacob Ellis. Jacob, I know you from Twitter. Speaking, how did the typing one work? Does it change hands on typing, or are you a hand tracker? It literally picked up, exactly what I was typing, and that was cool and fun, and I like that. But now I don't know how to resummon that. It was just the keyboard, and there was nobody behind it. So now you have this. Isn't that fun? And then I can just let him go and float while I do the fun things over here. But it's good to be back. Good talking to you all. Had fun making that last little video. Eben has shared that video with friends and they love it. I really appreciate it, Eben. I might have to set up a thing. Last couple times I've done this, I've just kind of poked a little
Hold on, let's see if I can do that real quick. Just slide that over here. And hopefully I don't reveal any secrets. Kind of works. Now y'all can see what I'm seeing. There you go. There we go. Oh, let's just cover that back up for now. But yeah, no, I had a lot of fun working on that video, and it's been a while since I made the initial one that you all replied to. But to be fair, I originally did that one just for the fun of it, and then it was fun to make. That was actually my first project I made in Blender entirely, and I was really happy with how it turned out at the time. But I've basically, for the last half a year, just been getting better and better at Blender, to the point now where I'm kind of embarrassed by how that last video looks, but that's alright. That's a sign that we're progressing, getting better. I'm pretty happy with how this one turned out, and I'm sure in 8 months I'll also be embarrassed by how it looks, and that's a good thing. It means we're growing. But the big topic we wanted to talk about here tonight, there's a couple different things. First of all, F's in chat for Norm McDonald. It was announced that he passed away from cancer. Absolutely devastating for me. I love that guy. He's in a weird spot where definitely one of the older comedians out there who's still active and really doing a lot of stuff. Had a really kind of like a internet vibe before internet was a thing. Like, guy had a really weird sense of comedy that was just brilliant. Just really terrible. I weirdly enough, when I first saw the news article about it, my brain just defaulted to assuming it was some bit he was doing, because that was the kind of thing he would joke about. Unfortunately, I had somebody link to me today a podcast clip when he went on someone else's podcast talking about how the man passed away from cancer. Nobody knew he had it. But in this podcast, he was talking about someone else who had cancer. I'm not sure how long ago the podcast was from, but he was basically talking about how the people he admired with cancer were the ones that were capable of just keeping it to themselves so as to not upset their loved ones and just kind of go out without making anyone suffer too much. Heartbreaking, upsetting, but it's been a good excuse to just go back through his catalog and just do yourself a favor and look up some of the interviews this guy has done from way back through like the last 20 years. He's great. Anyway, he's incredible. Just wanted to say something about that. F's in chat for Norm. But moving on, tell the cult to leave the kid alone. That's what I wanted to talk about. I am excited. I was excited about the amount of replies that came in from the last video, and like I mentioned in this most recent animation, simultaneously excited by how seriously everyone took the prompt, and also disappointed by how intelligent everyone's responses were. It took me a good long time to try and figure out what I was going to do with that, because it did not make for a good story. Which, you want a little bit of drama in your story, you know? It makes for a better story when people are more active and wanting to do things and interact with the world and learn, and this was not the case. Most people's responses were to hang low, don't reply, don't engage, and I was just like, damn it, they're right. That's the smart thing to do. I think I've improved, maybe, hopefully you don't feel too alienated by the choices that were made in this most recent video. I'm hoping to keep as many people engaged with this plot as I can. But I have had a few people who are just like, I would not help the child. The child needs to learn not to fight with people on the internet. This is why I have wrote down here, a little arrow, That's a good arrow. Is it worth defending people online? Because I've gotten a lot of different answers from people that have been really interesting. I've seen a lot of people who were like, absolutely, jump in there and do something about it. And I can understand if that was the case, you know, in a fictional story, you'd want to be doing the right thing. I am curious how many people who are listening right now have found themselves in a spot where they saw someone who, maybe not a kid, but just somebody who was in over their head online and just getting too deep into it. And I think a lot of us who've spent a lot of time on here recognize the signs of when you just get too mad. It's almost like, just hand me the keys. You need to get away from the keyboard. You've spent too much time here. And it's hard to watch someone else going through that because, I don't know, maybe it's just a me thing. It's something I can still get wrapped up into today. I think, better at handling myself than I used to be. But it's easy to get really passionate online and really get into it with people. And unfortunately, some people are just a lot better at arguing with other people online. And I don't know where I left it up. I hope people write responses as detailed as they did last time, or write stupid stuff, because that also makes it easier for me to tell an entertaining story. Anonymous. I struggle in my head. You hang out on the Discord a lot more. I appreciate that, but I'm still struggling in my head to decide how to pronounce your name. First rule of storytelling: if heroes were intelligent, there would be no conflict. Both yes and no. To answer that one, I'd say obviously yes, even if it's just quote tweet to show who I'm supporting. I've left the internet place we're at on this one a little bit more vague, just because I'm posting this one on a lot more platforms than I did the last one, and I wanted to keep it vague so that everyone can kind of imagine their preferred, arena for getting into internet arguments. But I will say that Twitter feels like one of the most antagonistic websites, and if I'm being honest, that's why I love it. I will, on a daily basis, just get into it with some random person who is just so wrong that I just have to say something. And it is a bad habit. Don't care. Have a good time. Most of the time. Sometimes I don't, but that's also kind of like what adds to the drama and the fun of it all. Speaking of drama, I'd rather not jump head into the drama, though. Yeah, that's the hard part, right? It's the situation I set up in this video was exactly not what you really want to do. Usually you want to keep reading up on exactly who is the person you're arguing with. Find some sort of ammunition or something to work with before just jumping into it. I left a few clues. I originally had an earlier draft of the video that revealed a lot more about the Koala Cult. I'm pretty excited about these guys. I've put some thought into them. Hopefully that can continue to be a mystery that we resolve as we go. It is a very fun habit, Ebon. I sometimes go back and forth onto whether or not it's a destructive habit. It's definitely not something I intend on giving up anytime soon. So I can't say that I don't think and I don't really feel guilty about that either. That's the big thing. I know a lot of people would say it's a waste of time, but I personally will often come out of internet fights feeling better than I did going in. Usually the thing that motivates me to jump into an argument online is seeing someone being so wrong about something that really frustrates me, and I see an opportunity to, if not change that person's mind, then at least point out just how wrong they are. It's a situation you see a lot online, and it's something that I feel like people are getting better and better at. It's almost like a video game that's been around for like 20 years now. You have some people who are just now jumping into it, thinking it's fun, running up against people who've been doing this daily for 15 years. There's definitely a skill to it. Not trying to brag, obviously. This is kind of a sad It's a skill. If it's something you're doing on a daily basis, it's not something you really brag about. It is, however, I think it's interesting. You can kind of develop an influence if you're good enough at it. If I made enemies online, there would be no end of direct replies. Exactly, and I've seen a lot of accounts that feed on that hate and actually will attract other people and build an audience just on that kind of cultivation of hatred. It's incredibly fascinating to me, and I'm really eager to see the kind of responses I get to this video. The last one I left kind of vague and nebulous because I wanted to see what everyone would do, and I got some people writing paragraphs, and that was great. I tried to reply to as many as I can. This time, I made it a little bit more binary, and I've had a lot of people tell me I choose violence. I'm hoping maybe sometimes we get a little bit more specific than that. If you're listening to this right now, and the next one hasn't come out yet, feel free to, pop in there, leave a comment, give me some details about exactly how you'd handle this situation. Because everyone has a different way about going about it. And if you're experienced on the internet, you probably have a different approach than a lot of people do. I kind of have a kill them with kindness approach a lot of times where you can weirdly get a pretty strong advantage over someone just by being extra polite. Not like cloying, but just being a nice person can really aggravate people, surprisingly. And the more aggravated a person gets, the more prone they are to either making mistakes or just looking really dumb defending the thing they're defending. Thing I could talk about for a long time, but I will spare y'all. So, the topic of the stream is tell me your dumb internet ideas, and I'm going to animate them. And I figured, show the video, ask people to leave comments, but also, you guys have my direct ear right now. Good evening, Renato. Saw you pop in there. Yeah, if you guys have any suggestions on where you'd like to see this story go next, you guys want to have first input on exactly how you would go about arguing with 5 members of a koala cult that you know only a little bit about. Might even be willing to give you a little bit more details about exactly who these guys are. I'm hoping to leave most of that up to, commenters, but y'all are here tonight. I appreciate it, and I'm more than happy to kind of reward you and give you some unfair advantage in terms of dictating exactly how this story is going to go. I will just be doodling in the corner over here. I'm trying to remember to animate my little dude, or puppeteer him, but it's hard to remember exactly that. I don't know. This doesn't feel the same as the other guy who, I don't know if you guys have seen some of my other videos, but I had a puppet that if I moved the arms, like I could hit buttons on my keyboard, and then he would gesture, and it was super easy to make videos doing that. And I wanted to do something like that for this stream, but I didn't have time. So what you're looking at right now is just me using the translate button in Blender, and it's literally all it is. This is, you're seeing behind the magic. This is what it looks like whenever I animate stuff for my videos now. There you go. Peek behind the curtain. Alright, let's look and see what people are saying. I'm seeing some comments. Hola, koala. Ebon the Fallen, being a nice person is fun, especially telling them to be reasonable. It is. You have to be careful. I had someone, because sometimes I am genuinely trying to understand another person's perspective. I'm not just being facetious. I'm not just like, I'll be nice, but not really. Like, I do try to be sincere in my kindness. It is, I think it's a good faith argument, is like the idea, like almost like oh, there's a word for it. I can't remember. Kind of, compassion troll, I think. Where you are trying, you're posing yourself as someone who is a friend, and saying like, hey man, I'm on your side on this, and da da da. You got to be careful about that because there are a lot of people who do some real. I've seen some really messed up stuff where someone phrases a like will literally target someone with depression and then frame themselves as a friend to ask a question like, hey, I love your work or something, and then drop some sort of horrible thing to say, but try to frame it in a way that it's like a sneak attack. Brutal. Try. I don't know. I think you can fight people. Try to be like Jackie Chan, and you're just kind of like, I don't want no trouble, but still while punching people. Like, fight people that break stuff up, maybe. I don't know. Have you noticed that new trend of don't care ratio? The new potential internet lingo changed and lost all its meaning from constant misuse. Are you referring? If you're meaning the new potential internet lingo changed, the don't care plus ratio combo is kind of like an old internet trend, I'd say. Not ratio specifically, but the idea of dismissing an argument kind of with a meme is it's a gold standard. Ratio is a very specific. I want to say Twitter, because I think that was where I first started seeing the phrase, but I've seen it pop up other places as well, where if you don't know what we're talking about, a lot of people will just say ratio. Ratio being generally a way to identify if. So if you're on YouTube, ratio might be the thumbs up versus the thumbs down, and it's generally a way of recognizing how well something is received. On Twitter, a big ratio is oftentimes okay, so that's where ratio came from originally, the ratio of likes versus dislikes. On Twitter, that more closely resembles how many comments you have left on a video versus comments left on a tweet versus how many people liked it. You see 70 people liked a tweet, but then 500 people are talking about it, and then 80 people are retweeting it. That means that it's not the most popular tweet just by the fact that everyone's talking about it. You can just look and see how many people are liking it versus how many people are talking about it. You can kind of assume it's not super popular. People refer to that as the ratio. Look at the ratio, and then eventually ratio became used as kind of like a dunk on someone, where instead of trying to engage with them on any level, you can just say, you know what, ratio. And you can just see people will. Originally, it was a way to be like, look how many people are disagreeing with you and agreeing with me. And then eventually it just became a meme of, don't care what you're saying, everyone like my post. And I think it's almost come full circle now where it's so all over the place and the jokes become so unfunny for most people. And the only people still doing it are people who are like not socially aware enough to know it's still not funny. So, I mean, it's funny to me when a person says ratio and then like the opposite happens, and then the other person they're replying to ends up getting more likes than they do. It's sad and hilarious in a fun way. All right, I'm gonna bounce over because I'm seeing some people being a nice person is fun. Renato says not caring about politics is a bad thing. Okay, Renato, not at all. Not at all. I was literally just agreeing with a video I saw today where a person said you can just not have opinions about things. That is totally okay. You do not need. Don't ever feel guilty about not jumping in to a thing and defending something you believe in. If you are not super well equipped with, I got ratioed. I don't know. Except it doesn't really work in this. I'm not really sure how you'd ratio someone in a stream. Anyway, if you're jumping into a fight online, you should definitely at least feel confident that you have enough information to back you up, or at least point someone in the direction, and then get the heck out of there. I do not fault people for not even wanting to care about politics or get involved in anything. It's totally fine. Okay, that's enough. If y'all want to like jump in at any point during the stream, let me know. I'm curious what people will think of that video. All right, moving on. I want to talk about TikTok because I think since the last time I was here, I wasn't on TikTok, and now I'm on TikTok, and it is fascinating. So, TikTok, I want to say, not Instagram with video. Though, to be fair, that's kind of unfair to Instagram. I have not. I'd say Instagram is one of the social media platforms I've spent the least amount of time on. So I honestly don't know if that is a apt comparison. There might be a weirder side to Instagram that I just never got to, but we can talk about that because I prefer to be a social media. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I know there's a way for me to possibly speed up chat. I don't know how to do it. Is there a way to do it? I don't know how. Okay, I switched to the live chat. I don't know if that's going to do anything. Oh no, I lost my comments. Yeah, get back over there. Get back over there. There you are. Stream latency is 30 seconds. It is brutal. I'm sorry about that. Assume that I am not going to be able to immediately respond to the stuff that you're posting. I will try and also not ask for immediate responses. Maybe we'll come back and ask stuff later. But, yeah, TikTok is... I'm going to post this over here. It is internet cocaine. It is insane. So originally, I gave TikTok a lot more of a chance than I did Instagram because I missed Vine. Vine was incredible. I only really experienced it for a short period of time before it got taken down and started becoming something different. But for years after Vine, I was appreciating exactly all the content that was coming out on it. It's incredible. You can just look up a Vine compilation. They're pretty polished playlists that are memes that last to this day. Hello, unknown crafter. Welcome. Also testing the whole speed of how fast you can see my messages. There you go. I don't know when you typed that, but I read it as soon as it popped up for me, so there you go. Anyway, it is internet cocaine is the result from my TikTok experience. And let me explain this. So, I think there's a reason why every platform is so quick to be impersonating it, besides the fact that it's a popular thing that another thing has. Anyway, listen. The speed at which the algorithm of TikTok picks up on the things you like is so incredibly quick and eerily accurate. I started off on the first week getting really mundane garbage that I just was not a fan of. And then after that first week, I started getting highly specific content that I never answered any surveys. It was just recognizing that I was spending precious seconds watching some content while not watching other content, and it was incredible. And it presents, and the wildest thing is it removes so much from the searching process. I don't think I've looked up a single thing on TikTok once it hooked up to my algorithm. Like, the algorithm realized my preferences, and now I basically vote what I like and what I don't entirely by attention. I spend 5-10 seconds on something, and it's even like messing with me because I'm able to, within less than a second, oftentimes now, recognize if I like something or if I don't, and I can feel myself grabbing hold of the algorithm and forcing it in whatever direction I want it to go into. If I'm starting to see too much of one thing on my timeline, if I'm on YouTube and I watch one video and YouTube goes, oh, bring up all of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air related videos from now on. And YouTube will just assume that anytime anything is relating to that content, it will toss it my way and see if I like it. And then based on whether or not I click on the video, they bring me more of that or less of that or whatever, but they're just constantly still putting it in front of my face, tantalizing me, trying to get me to jump in there. And the thing about TikTok is watching and browsing and showing your satisfaction for something are all the same thing, which increases the speed at which you can consume content and have content presented to you to an insane degree. And I find myself just throughout the day occasionally jumping on TikTok and just going on a mini binge. Like, I feel like I'm on cocaine because I'll just like run to the bathroom or something with headphones and I can just, yes, TikTok, and I'll just fly through like 50 videos, like yes, no, no, yes, no, and like steer the algorithm in whatever direction I want to get. If it's a meme that I like, I can look at the audio for it and see what other things people are making about this meme and enjoy that. TikTok recognizes that I'm looking more into the sound. It will find other uses of the sound, present it to me. Then maybe that very same day I can come back to it and I'm tired of the meme. I can start swiping away from it faster and it goes, he is no longer spending precious seconds watching this. We will move on and show him other memes. And I'm amazed at how little thinking I really have to do, because I picked up the habits to do this in a very short amount of time. And what's really fascinating is how accurate the algorithm is. I heard a story today. One of my friends mentioned how someone they knew was complaining about TikTok and saying, I don't get how TikTok is so popular. I don't enjoy it. All TikTok is just girls dancing and wiggling their butts around, not realizing that if all you're seeing on your TikTok is girls shaking their asses, that means TikTok has identified that you enjoy watching girls shaking their asses, and it has brought those asses to you on a silver platter, and it will find any asses out there available as long as you keep watching them. It keeps bringing them to you. All right, sorry, got into it. I love talking about TikTok because it's such a crazy experience. It is like feeling like tapping directly into the internet. I'm very fascinated by it. All right, I'm catching up. Amon says, I solely know Vine TikTok for 10-40-second meme generator, and only these get reposted elsewhere. Amon, that's exactly how I enjoyed Vine. And TikTok has kind of filled that role for sure. The wild thing is how rapid everything is. I saw a meme, I think it was yesterday, crop up out of nowhere, and then by today there's already like third wave memes where people are making memes about how is this meme a thing, like where you get into like that meta humor of the meme. I can go into that, but you kind of have to know who. I don't want to get too into it. Internet Crocodile. Don't know what that was in reference. Sailor Boy, good to see you though. All right, reminds me of that video Markiplier made in Canada. How fast can YouTube recommend good videos? I've seen those. I've seen a few people doing those. It is interesting how that is, and for me, YouTube, I feel like I have a lot less control, and maybe that has more to do with my own, like how dense my own YouTube search history is, but I feel like on YouTube it is just maybe I just need to get better at trying to exert my will on the algorithm and being more decisive in what I like and what I don't like, because right now I'm just usually browsing through YouTube, trying to find something I like. If the page doesn't present to me anything I like, I go to my subscriptions, browse through everything, see if there's a video I haven't seen in a while, like somebody I've uploaded that I haven't seen in a while, something like that. The crazy thing about TikTok is how simultaneously hands-off the experience is and how much control I have by just basically putting faith in the system. It's eerie. YouTube's algorithm is getting worse. I kind of agree. I feel like it's very, very sensitive to any kind of popular... Now that you can find clips, you see a lot of popular networks and TV shows now having their own channel, recognizing that people enjoy watching clips from their favorite TV shows. They make money off those now. So I feel like the algorithm is just so much more sensitive to if you're unfortunate enough to click on that one clip from The Office now dominates everything that is recommended to you, and it is always there and will often just autoplay back into whatever clip. And it's disappointing because one of the things I love about TikTok is how much original content is on there right now. It's almost completely absent. There's no advertisers, and unless they're like subtle, I do see a lot of the people who are like, "Whoa, you guys, have you seen this product? This isn't an ad. I'm not being paid for this, but I totally love this thing. It's so great." And like that's pretty much the closest thing I've seen to ads. But it's at least like not in your face about it, and it's not Raid Shadow Legends for the billionth time. So it's even if they are like low key sabotaging me mentally, still refreshing to see 98% original content with the occasional people trying to sneak in your pyramid scheme or whatever. YouTube Shorts sounds like their attempt to capitalize on it, but I don't like it for being an entirely different format. Yeah, I don't know. I was excited originally about YouTube Shorts, and that was before I got into TikTok. And because I was excited because it felt like, haha, you losers were, you thought you were too good for short form content. You like basically screwed over every single animator on your platform, forced them to go elsewhere, look for other things that aren't YouTube to try and make their money. Maybe you still upload there occasionally, but it's not your primary source of income. And a lot of people just stop making things in general. Now, oh no, looks like there is an audience for short form content. Oh no, now you're having trouble transitioning back into it, and people don't know why they should be using shorts when they can just go jump over to TikTok. All right, catching up, Sailor Boy. Whoa, I'm falling kind of far behind. How many people we got in here? All right, we got a few people. So you're saying that I can be force-fed Among Us Vine Boom sound effect, one Sussy Baka ding 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 fart sound effect. You can. I know you're joking, but if you found a sound that was exactly that, you could click on that sound, and there's a chance, I'm gonna say it's a good chance, you'll find like 50 other videos of people doing the same exact joke or punchline. And that's another interesting thing. Everyone's using sounds as the meme template, so to speak. Like you used to have the meme generators of like, here's the meme template, here's what you do. You just insert whatever thing you want into it, and hey, it's fresh content. It's new. You don't even have to be good at creating things. You can just kind of like use this template and automatically funny, and you'll automatically have an audience of some people who are like, I like meme, ha ha ha, good job. And TikTok's just accelerated that to where you can just, hey, that was a funny meme. You tap on that meme, basically, which is the sound. It takes you to everyone else who's ever used that sound ever, gives you an opportunity to make your own video with it, and so that you can just contribute to that pile of content. And so if you happen to really enjoy a meme, it's just like you can just keep using it and keep looking at it. Thank you. Platter of ass is what I'm guessing. I was proud of that one. I said it. I haven't used it, says Citra Mates, but that was a pretty amazing explanation of why it's so popular. Thank you. I appreciate it. I spend way too much time thinking about this stuff, but I'm glad you guys are here to hear me. I appreciate it. Thank you for justifying this habit. It is interesting to hear a positive comment about TikTok. Most of it is negative these days with how addictive it is supposed to be. It's very addictive, Ebon. I would say that it's dangerously addictive. I feel like as someone who's like consciously paying attention to algorithms and how they're being steered and I'm being like sold to, it's scary. I feel myself getting sucked into it, and I'm like consciously trying to pay attention to it, and then sometimes I just fall out of that attention and just fall into it like everyone else. I'm really worried about, because I've uploaded a few videos onto there. I had kind of a video where I created a porn bot, not literally, but like a visual approximation of like a cute little robot girl generating spam, basically, and sending it to people's inboxes. And I just put it up on TikTok to see how it did pretty well. I was pretty happy with that. There's a lot of people posting the submissive and breedable meme, which was hot around that time, and not like, you know what I mean. It was popular, and I enjoy, and you all should know this, I enjoy looking at people who interact with my content and seeing what other kind of things they enjoy. So sometimes I'll click on profile, and I'll just go in and see what other things they like to kind of get a vibe for what kind of crowd I'm attracting. Unfortunately, the person who said submissive and breedable was definitely a squeaker, a child, someone who was not was prepubescent, and I was really upset, and I wanted to be like, get the hell off this platform. TikTok is totally fine with 13-year-olds being on the platform. Kind of upsetting. I'm not going to say that I'm not a fan of super, super young people being on the internet, but hey, I think I was first active at 10, going into a lot of different places, talking to a lot of different people, so I can't entirely fault people for doing it. Still makes me kind of uncomfortable because this can be kind of a scary place in terms of ideologies and stuff like that, but hey, I mean, that's kind of part of the reason I'm making this content. I want to show people how intense this place can be. Still concerning about that. Upsetting a little bit. How many kids there are on that platform. I will say the smart thing is, and this is my biggest thing, number one rule, I think, for children on the internet is never, ever, 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 ever use your real name or face. That is so important. I'm going to circle it. And I will say this. I saw several kids replying to my videos and copying them and talking about them. And all of them, I started recognizing that they were young just based on the way they were posting videos and how little effort they were putting into them and how they were all kind of interacting with each other. And like, I found out that one kid, I called him a squeaker, and it's because you can tell by how high-pitched like, people's voices are. But all of these kids were smart enough to never post their face, and they never had their names or anything, which I was online for that period where Facebook abruptly decided that everyone needed to use their real names, probably because they thought it would make the experience better and the people would be nicer. Not the case, obviously. And it resulted in a lot of horrible stuff where people were being doxxed and connected to their real life. And some people just didn't care and just being jackasses with their real name. But I'd say the number one cause of cyberbullying and stuff like that is people who can't get off the internet. And once someone's recognized someone from the internet, it's impossible to kind of disconnect yourself from your actions on there or the things you've seen, and being targeted. So at least the TikTok kids are being smart about that. Good job, TikTok kids. Catching up. I haven't used it, but that was approved. Said that. Okay. Reminds me of that Bennett Foddy quote about that content is the future. Sorry. I'm doing a bad job reading. Foddy quote that content in the future is fast generated from literal random trash until something sticks. I think that is going to be the case. I will counter that quote with another quote, Amon. Conan O'Brien was talking about TikTok, and it's crazy seeing him because he's kind of heralded as this late night comic comedian who was of the new generation and kind of the new kid on the block, and now he's very much the old man. His take on the internet is, I'm not going up against other comedians now. I'm just going up against everyone in the world trying to be funny. And I think the thing we're finding is that there's not a lot of people who are repeat hitters, but there are a ton of people who can come out with one video that is great. And it's like, I make a lot of content, but like still to this day, my most popular videos are just random memes that I came up with overnight that struck a chord. And I think TikTok is very much based on that, where you can follow people and you can keep up with them. It gives you that option. But for the most part, it's just pulling people out at random and shoving them in front of you. And if you choose to, you can kind of keep up with that person. But more than likely, you're just going to swipe again and just get presented with another random person. And the platform's so massive right now with so many people that you just don't. Literal random trash is a good way to describe it, because the thing that's so crazy about the algorithm is, go to sites like Newgrounds is a good place for creators, because even if you're not the best, you can still get some eyes on your work. But the algorithm on TikTok just works so fast and just so quickly decides if what you have is good or not. But it also is because everything's so short. I have seen that like there aren't that many videos that don't have at least like 10 views on them, which is more than I had when I first started uploading to YouTube. So it's able to just very quickly put things in front of people. You're going to get at least like 15 to 20 people to look at your stuff. And depending on how much attention you put on it, they decide if it's worth to continue showing it to people, right? So in a sense, yeah, literal random trash until occasionally you find that gold nugget. And the algorithm's so efficient that oftentimes it's like you get 18 pieces of gold for every, 2 stinkers. At that point, it just becomes incredibly subjective. You get to decide what the gold is or not, and then TikTok finds you other things based on what your preferences are. Excuse me. By the way, remember that VeggieTales episode, Humor in the Future We Ran It? Yes, I know exactly the meme you're talking about, and it does feel kind of like that. Honestly, memes in general, modern memes feel like that. Hey, Hatter! Whoa! Guys, this guy is a voice actor who's helped me on the Ruth video. Man, I got more work for you if you want it. I was trying to get in touch with her. Iman, I will link you to my TikTok as soon as I figure out how to do that off of my mobile. Seeing TikTok as a blessing and a curse. You have to do stuff that hasn't been done and having to stick to an algorithm that would be set to an ADHD type of audience. I have seen a lot of contents targeting. It's weird. People are like using ADHD as like it is like a neurodivergent kind of thing, but people are like wearing it like a badge of honor and like almost like a club. You have to do stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious because I've seen it's been nice to not have to like shop my work around when I post it on TikTok. TikTok shows it to people, and I've seen pretty immediately if stuff is working or not based on how many people keep looking at it. Or with YouTube, I'm lucky if I get put in front of the people who want to watch my stuff. Who knows? The only old people from blogging days would use their real names online. Old people in general, I would say Facebook is rich with old people the old people who are originally saying you shouldn't put any personal information online are now like, oh, it's Facebook. That's like a fancy place. It's like LinkedIn, so it's like my resume, and I can also totally just I post every single one of my stupid, ill-informed political opinions on here. Hey, Salta Cohetes. You could use a cheap Connect USB adapter and use that to link your movements to a 3D model or Elite Motion if you ever do frequent streams. So, it's funny you bring that up. I have been doing research into that, and as an animator, this is going to sound very, very hipstery. I don't like the movement that motion capture generates. I think it's very, very unsettling. Now, I will say, I've seen some recent technology that looks super sweet that is much more filtered, I want to say. I'm not sure how the technology works, but instead of just doing one-to-one, it seems to polish the movement a little bit. It's super cool. I have looked into it. I was using Unity for a while and trying to work out a process to get from Blender over here to Unity, but it wasn't going well. Not that it was going poorly, like on Unity's fault or Blender's fault, it was just I was getting burnt out using it. I've recently decided to try and give Unreal Engine a try, and I've been having fun with it so far. I'm really enjoying. I've been designing games since I was younger. They've made a lot of stuff really easy. That is very nice, and Epic is, Epic. So they have as much money to throw at problems as you could possibly imagine. So feel a little bad because I love my freemium software. I love Blender, obviously. So I wanted to kind of keep that going with Unity since they were the original guys doing that. But now Unreal's looking kind of cool. Let's see if I missed anybody. Yeah, back when I began playing WoW, my dad told me to never show my face or provide any information. Yeah, and it's so interesting how there was a short period of time where people completely forgot that, and it has just resulted in chaos. That's another reason why I like Twitter. Facebook, I'd see like 95% of people using all real information. Twitter is like a weird combination of 4chan, Reddit, and Facebook, where you have real personalities, real people interacting with complete random internet trolls, and it's infinitely fascinating. I love Twitter. One of the most toxic places on the internet, I think specifically for that reason, but if you're someone who likes getting into internet fights and watching them, it's so good. Everyone was to be treated as a pedophile until proven otherwise. A good move. Hey, Azul. Welcome. Game jams. Ugh. Whoa. I find fascinating that there are thousands of people who make and publish games within 120 to 24 hours, and then people still think indie market can't come up with anything new. Honestly, I've taken, and I've seen this in kind of in your work too. I think that's why we originally followed each other on Twitter. It's super admirable, the rapid pace at which this stuff is created. And I've taken that approach to my animation, where I'm trying, I think there's a tendency to copy the kind of Pixar style, where you are taking 3D software to make your work look as polished and detailed as it possibly can, where honestly I'm more inspired by game jams and indie games than I am, a lot of AAA projects or Hollywood movies these days. I find kind of the smaller creator to be much more interesting. So I went down that path. And yeah, no, I absolutely know and love game jams. I made a new TikTok account. Hatter, I'm so happy to see you. I honestly, it's been so long, and if you need voiceover work, let me know. I made a new TikTok account because my main that has 130K and wasn't getting pushed as much anymore did a test to see if I could gain that following back doing random stuff, and in 4 days I hit 12K. Yeah, it's insane the way the numbers work. It's very scattershot. I've seen a lot of videos of people just saying like, hey, re-uploading this to see what happens, and it's got 1 million views. So I don't think whatever TikTok's doing, they have much control over. I saw literal porn pop up on my dash the other day because it was, because it was drawn, and everyone was just talking about it and favoriting it just by the fact that it had managed to bypass their filters and was doing excellent numbers. Azul says, I remember watching this one CGI cartoon that used motion capture with my nephew. And that shit's creepy in motion. Some of the very earliest, if you watch the original Donkey Kong country animation that gets so memed so often, motion capture is I would say, very efficient way to animate. If you're good at it, if you know what you're doing. However, if you're into certain kind of aesthetic looks and whatnot, it's not always the best way to go about doing things. And as someone who is kind of, I got into animation because of the complete amount of control and just going for the maximum amount of appeal you can get out of, like a few frames. Motion capture is kind of unpleasing, and the fact that it's becoming more and more streamlined and available to more people, it's becoming a lot more pervasive and a lot more people have access to it. So not only does it not look super great, but we're now kind of being drowned in that kind of weird, kind of eerie movement. I think they're going to continue to polish it and continue to work out those bugs to where it feels a lot nicer, and I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years the VTubers are looking amazing. I will say, though, that I'm going to keep going my weird little route of doing things the hard way, not because it's efficient or it's going to pay off or anything, or necessarily even better looking, but like I just said about the game jam stuff, I like things that are different and weird, made by smaller creators rather than, super amazingly talented corporations and giant organizations. That works impressive, but it's not what gets me excited. It's the little guys figuring out new crazy things that no one else is doing. Not necessarily because it's, better, but because it's interesting. Let you go back to floating. Oh my god, did you see the reanimated DKC tribute short? I have not. That sounds great. I love those because it's just such a fun way to. Every time I watch a reanimated thing, I come out of it with 30 new animators I'm following on Twitter or whatever. It's always fun just to see. I want to do more stuff like that, and I joined a recent comic contest, and that was a really great way to hang out with other creators doing weird stuff. Basically just describing what I was just talking about. It's a great way to be introduced into a lot of people. By the way, I think you and Hyper 3D are the peak of 3D animators. Hyper 3D, don't be upset. I don't recognize that name. DKC tribute short. I don't. Feel free to link to it if you're able to. I know the YouTube. Another thing that I don't like about YouTube right now is y'all are leaving a lot of great comments that are making me laugh, and because there are dirty words in them, YouTube is deleting them without my consent. Because I will forever have, if by my choice, a filthy comment section, but it's like I'll get the alert y'all are leaving messages, and then I'll go in to look at it and reply to it, and then it says this comment is no longer here, and I know you guys aren't deleting them that quickly. Meme reload animation. Let's just go take a look at Hyper 3D. The name sounds familiar, but nothing's coming to mind right now. So let's go take a look. I'm very curious. Hey, I know that guy. Undertale stuff. I like that music. Hyper 3D. It's not the gun animation guy, right? Oh. No, that's Hyper. Is this the same guy you were talking about? That might not be the same guy. This dude's great. I'd be very flattered if that's the guy you're comparing me to. Hold on. Hyper 3D. It's the only thing coming up. Let me know if that's right. Don't look at my stats. There you. So rude. No! Stay. Yes! I love Hyper! I'm super flattered that you would compare me to him. And that dude's also super talented. I like animating, but I don't really... I like telling stories more than I like animating, if that makes sense. There is a certain level of polish and craft you have to put into your animations when you want to work at that professional level that his videos come out at. And what's the handle on Twitter? But it's only Hyper. I feel like it used to be Hyper 3D at some point. He might have changed it to Hyper. Come on, I'm reading your tweet. Hold on. Speaking of 3D creators, the VR chat Miku Miku dance VTubers is a strange concept. Having an animated avatar is reasonable, but covering yourself with trackers to make is a bit interesting. So who am I thinking of? They've become really popular recently. Honestly, they're pretty entertaining, but they are doing a VR suit type of deal. I've really been enjoying their content where they talk and interview people, but they've got a lot of interesting interactions with their audience where their audience can summon things on their stream. They're honestly doing a lot of fun things that I wish I was... That's kind of honestly the reason I'm getting into Unreal Engine, is I like the idea of building more interactive stuff that I can kind of puppet. Maybe I'm not super interested in one-to-one motion capture, but I am super interested in... I think her name... Is it Miku that I'm thinking of? I don't think it's Miku Miku Dance. but it is a quote unquote character where they will stream as themselves, and she will say like she basically claims she is like the engineer behind this character, and then when she puts on the motion capture suit, she's not actually the engineer. She is, this video game character, and she lets chat vote on what costumes the character wears and stuff like that. And really killing me that I can't remember her name right now. Super entertaining stuff though. Hyper. Yeah, no, I'm super flattered again that you would compare me to Hyper. I was kind of going down a similar career path as Hyper. At the same time, Hyper was going down their career path. I ended up going into what's called motion design, which is okay. So Hatsune Miku. I know who Hatsune Miku is. I was trying to remember. Yeah, okay. If you remember the name of the 3D person I'm talking about, let me know. We can go check them out. But yeah, Hyper went into actual character animation specifically for guns, and the amount of jokes you can deliver with just gun reload animations is amazing. And the crazy thing is, if you really want to work at a AAA studio, specializing in super niche stuff like that is the best way to go about doing that. To like, he might be the best at reload animations. I don't know. Working at Infinity Ward, it says he's pretty high up there, I imagine. I am not. I couldn't bring myself to specialize to that level. I like telling stories and I like doing broader stuff, which means I have to be good at a lot of things. Or instead of being really, really good at one thing, I have chosen to be exceptionally mediocre at a lot of things. So it's taken me a while, but I'm finally getting to the point where I'm starting to like my own work. It takes a while to get to that point. If you're out there making your own stuff right now and you're not happy about it, it gets better. Give it a couple years. I've been pretty happy with the progress I've been making lately. But back to bouncing. Yeah. And I just like doing crazy experiments and stuff, as I've mentioned. So, by the way, anything noteworthy so far besides that? Project Melody. That sounds right. Opinions on Captain D. I love Captain Disillusion. I think it's interesting because the kind of personality of Captain D, I think simultaneously is what's made them successful and also is kind of holding them back from being more popular. It's a reference to a couple different things that I think instantly sort of alienates people or gets people on his side. I think he was smart to do that recent Flight of the Navigator video. And I know it's insane. If you haven't watched Captain Disillusion's, if you like VR or animation stuff at all, check it out. It's incredible. The amount of work and research and everything that he put into that video is staggering. And I saw some people complaining about how it hadn't gotten more views. The last I checked, it was well over 1 million. So that's more than I could ever probably dream of with my content. So I think he's doing okay. Captain Disillusion in general is very fun. I think they have. I like when they occasionally get philosophical about their stuff, because even when I don't disagree with them, it adds a layer of depth to their videos that you really don't get often. Usually people stick with a gimmick and can get pretty far by not straying too far from that gimmick, as long as there's enough material to work with. And Captain Disillusion could easily do that, but they've taken it to a level of commitment that I don't think you see anywhere else on the internet, really. It shows just how much thought they put into each of their videos. And honestly, I think of them as a brother in animation. The VFX crew is I just see it as the same thing. They're working. You develop a certain kind of. It takes a certain kind of mental attitude to, you know, spend hours working on a few frames of a project just to like just to know that most people are not going to notice it, but it's something that keeps you satisfied. I love Captain Disillusion. Yes, I also love the Blender show. I was just thinking of that. Captain Blender had a presentation, and Captain D presented at it because he uses the Blender for a lot of his own work, and he could have just gone up there in costume, but instead just had basically created a whole video on stage in front of people, and it was very excellent. Amon, I mean that you haven't typed anything in MS Paint so far, and you had the animated creators on screen. There hasn't really. You had the animated creators on screen. Not sure what we're talking about there. We covered TikTok. Kind of want to talk more about. Let's see. What else are we working on? I'd love to talk about more stuff that I'm working on. I don't know if that's something that you guys want to talk about or not. We can talk about the internet stuff that I've been working on. Well, nah, we already kind of covered that. If this video blows up and I get Captain Disillusion numbers, then I think I can spend a little bit more time going into detail on my projects and the things I want to keep working on. If you guys want to shout out, I can talk about something else for a little bit. But if you guys have, I don't know, I like talking to y'all and figuring out what kind of videos you like of mine. I do a lot of different stuff because I'm basically just, I kind of am trying to strike a good balance between stuff that I enjoy doing and the stuff that might accidentally become popular. So I'm just kind of hoping that someday those kind of things form a nice little Venn diagram. I've got other stuff in the pipeline. We talked about that one last couple streams. I was kind of working on a video with you guys, and it's still there. I built all the assets for it. I really just need to sit down and animate it at this point. I took a break from it because I was getting a little burnt out working on it. I'm seeing some people. Your show, feel free. Let's hear what you were working on. YouTube is not showing my question. What was your question, El Satas? The 404 show web series. All right, I'll talk about what I want to work on. So, with the Ruth animation that I put up last year, that I was working on throughout last year, I was trying to start a ongoing serial anime thing about the internet, and I wanted to have, instead of just doing sequential one-offs, which has been fun and good for learning how to do this stuff, I wanted to start telling a longer form story. And it took a long time, took a lot longer than I wanted it to, and that's because I'm so obsessed with getting stuff out quickly and working on it quickly. That's kind of where I put a lot of my effort into, rather than trying to make everything look super polished. I would like to eventually start being able to get out videos weekly, like animated videos that are a minute or two long within like a week or two. It's just, I should do something like POQ, everyone, POQ wanted you all to know. P, take note. All right, oh no, this is the foible of MS Paint. That's gotta do like that. What am I working on? So, as I was saying, last couple streams, I was trying to get you guys involved more directly in working on something. And we kind of came up with an idea about a Minecraft streamer and the kind of struggles of, oh god, what am I working on? Enough. And the struggles of streamers and how scary streaming can be when you're basically facing down an entire pantheon of people. I took a break from that because I had gotten so many good ideas from you all. I was having trouble kind of taking one and actually doing something with it. I really wanted to make something special. So with the ideas you guys presented to me, so I was working really really hard on this one model for the. I think I can actually, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and pull him up. So I made. Oh, there he is. That's him. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Wait a second. Okay, I'm gonna hold on a second. I'm still here. I'm talking. I'm talking. I'm still an active streamer, good streamer, man. I'm just trying to pull up a thing off my flash drive and not revealing it to you all so that we can just observe it and enjoy it for what it is. Where's my boy? There he is. Reloading. Ooh. Could be bad. I don't know. Dang, you're taking your sweet time. Does this mean... Ah, okay, so Azul is asking a question. Here's the Minecrafter. I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. Just going for equal parts ninja meets gladiator. And like when I say ninja, I don't mean like a literal ninja. I mean like the streamer ninja. Let's see. Oh, okay, that's why it's not working. Alright, he's not looking as pretty as he's supposed to, but that's okay. You get the general idea. Equal parts ninja, the streamer, meets gladiator, meets Steve from Minecraft, meets that awkward guy who was in your class who would barely ever talk, but the few times he did talk, it was about Minecraft, and then he wouldn't shut up about it for a long time. That was kind of energy I'm going for here with this guy. I'm pretty happy with him. But yeah, I spent like a week alone just working on this dude, which was a lot longer than I was intending. Like I said, I tried to just, usually not spend too much time working on something, because when you're making an entire video from scratch, it's really easy to get caught up in the details and get really bothered by trying to perfect everything. And this guy, I liked the concept of him, so then I ended up, it was like, oh, what if I try these new things? Like, oh, I'll give him cool shoulder pads. So then you're like, oh, well, if I give him cool shoulder pads, they gotta work. So then you gotta figure out how to make the shoulder pads work, and then you gotta do research on shoulder pads, and then it compounds and gets worse and bigger and better and all these different things. Anyway, we were working on a video together, you and I, chat, and this is just one part of it that I've put together so far. It's not been abandoned. It's in a nice little spot that I can come back to it whenever I want. But I'm thinking I might jump into the more koalas than usual. I'm having fun with that little process, and I'm hoping I could try and get something out quickly, depending on how the responses come in with that. But goodbye, Minecrafter. So let's see. Does this mean we'll see who the hoodie guy was? If you're referring to the character from the Ruth animation, I'm not sure if they're still here, but Hatter VA is actually the voice of that character, and so much has changed with the script since Hatter actually delivered the voice lines to me. I ended up taking out some of the few lines that he did for that video, but the hoodie guy is a main character in the Ruth saga. And I have a literal whole arc story written out for Ruth. That Ruth was honestly one of the first ideas I came up with on the channel, that a story that I wanted to tell of a person completely new to the internet, trying to find a friend, not knowing any better about the internet, and needing to depend on someone else to guide them. Could be who the hoodie guy was. Doing pastebin because YouTube hates me. I'm scared now. I'm gonna open this up off here. Want to ask you about it. That 404 lore. I'm glad you liked that, Amon. I wasn't sure if that was working. I'm glad it's appealing to some people at least. All right, that's the URL. This is for a question. We are looking up a question for. Let's see. Yeah, trying not to do this on stream in case there's something on here that's not supposed to be on here. So, I have lots of different little things in the works, and honestly, I've had a few videos that took off and did really, really well, but they were all meme based, so I didn't end up. I could have chased that path and been a professional memer, I felt like, but I never got to the point where I felt like I wanted to do that. And despite all the popularity JoJo X Pokemon brought in for me, I'm still would rather be working on my own content. So I'm just trying lots and lots of different things. I know the channel is really inconsistent at the best of times, completely dead other times, but it's because I'm every time I make a video and it doesn't do as well as I want it to do, I'm going back to the drawing board and trying to think of another way to bring in new people and make things more appealing. But at the same time, I'm trying to think of different formats. I'm also planning a big, long 404 Tales epic saga that would take place and basically have people traveling throughout the entire internet, hitting up multiple weird communities, meeting weird people, going on great journeys. That's the end goal for the channel. However, I end up getting to that point where I can best tell that story in a way that will make other people happy as well as myself, to keep me entertained. Cohites, I have no idea how to use this number string. Do I just put it at the end of Pastebin? It shows how rarely I use this site that I have no idea how I'm supposed to incorporate that string of numbers. You know anything about NFT? It's that trend bubble that appeared and now nobody likes it. Now, Amon, I will say, crypto people freaking love NFTs, and honestly, all you need are the crypto people. Okay, I'm sorry, Salta, that's not working. I don't know. Are you on Discord? Are you on our Discord? Because you could just, I can get on there and you can send it to me there. Paku. Peace, love, and pleasure. Uncomfortable, but I'm guessing this is what you were referring to, Paku. Yes. Now, whenever somebody comes in, they will see your message of love. Yeah, I'm not sure about NFTs. I was at first really, really excited about them. I was very excited just based on the fact that as a digital artist, I've always kind of been considered very secondary in terms of luxury, at least, to certain other fine artists who have a limited thing that they can use. They have like a... Sorry, I got distracted. Fine artists have a limited palette or a limited resource, and they can sell that limited resource to make a ton of money by collectors. It's a whole market unto itself that's never been available to digital creators because there's no way for digital creators to create something that's 110% unique. NFTs provided an opportunity for that to happen, but the downside of that was the impact it had ecologically, and I'm still kind of unaware of just how damaging I have an idea. I've heard multiple accounts on how damaging NFTs can be to the environment, varying from not good to, oh my god, this is really, really bad. And I am split on it because I'm always about creators getting their due diligence. And I think there are so many people in the world right now who are sorry, I'm trying to fill this topic in so people coming in can see what we're talking about. I think there are a lot of artists out there who are incredibly talented people who don't have a means with which to, make money off of their craft because there's only so many venues they can exercise their skills and show off what they do. NFTs seem like a very good universal solution to that, where all of a sudden a means of income that was only available to traditional artists was suddenly available to everyone and anyone who can make anything digitally. I saw someone made $40,000 off of selling like a sprite art of Joker from the movie Joker. So I would say that the trend of everyone talking about NFTs have died off, but I would say that the crypto folk, who are the ones who are the most excited about this kind of stuff, are still very much into it. It's like what they were already doing, but just kind of packaged with memes, it seems like. So I'm still like, I would probably make at least, and I think another big concern people were having was that they were worried about people's own art being stolen and sold. I think that's a pretty minimal problem, because I think, and not to dismiss people who've been suffering from like identity theft and things like that, but I think I think that's going to be an issue regardless. You're always going to have people who are trying to take advantage of your work one way or another. NFTs actually provides a nice solution where you have a means, if you can prove your identity, that anyone who is selling your work as an NFT, it's effectively, you can literally say that's counterfeit, where anyone else who downloads a JPEG and starts selling prints of it, like, not really anything you can do to stop that. This could be the time of the night where I post a link to our Discord so that anyone in this chat tonight, we are not doing Jacko Pose, Sailor Boy. We've talked about that. I refuse. It is lewd and beneath me. I'm not sure why you keep insisting. Just kidding, I know why. Because you're a thirsty motherfucker. No. Alright, I am going to generate a link to our Discord. And that way, Salta, you can directly send me whatever it is the hell you've been trying to send me. Unfortunately, for those of you who are not here tonight, I am going to set this to a... Let's see. We'll make this a fairly short... We'll do 1 day. And if you want to join the server, feel free to go ahead and message me. I'll probably just send you a link anyways, but for now, this link that I'm posting, anyone can join and, hang out. We're a pretty small little group right now. Few people who post fairly regularly. I'm delighted by how successful our little Discord server is. I never would have imagined we'd have an active enough of an audience to basically have new content every day. I originally started 404 Tales because when I was much younger, it was making art was a difficulty for me, but it was something I was really, really wanted to do, and it was completely devastating to put all this work into something, put it online, and then have it just fade into obscurity almost immediately with no one to see it. And the fact that there's a little bit of a community that I'm a part of, that I've helped create, that is pulling in. People are posting stuff that they find interesting from the internet onto our little Discord server, and I'm delighted by it. I try to be as active as I can. I will try and respond to most messages if I'm available. But then even if I'm not, usually there we have regulars who are popping in and posting their own stuff. Sailor Boy is our meme guy. Uh, he's king of the shit posting area as far as I see it. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to go back to. Okay, here we go. Opinions on Discord as social media. I'm guessing this is you, Salta. Opinions on Discord as a social media, and do you ever plan on making a server? Okay, that answers your question. Hopefully, I accidentally answered your question without even realizing that's what you were asking. Among Us, Sailor Boy is diseased. His brain is diseased with memes. Salt, yeah, hopefully, I love Discord as a social media platform. It reminds me of the older chat rooms that people used to create, where it was very easy to jump in and jump out and be part of a conversation. It was an extremely easy way to meet strangers, which is one of my favorite things about the internet, which also goes back to why I think you should never tell your real name, because it's a hamper on if you want to just hang out with random people. Mr. Heavyman is right. All right, Sailor Boy, Jocko Pose trend is over. I honestly am usually someone who enjoys jumping on the meme bandwagon, but I saw I was on I could this is one of the few memes that I could have jumped into very easily. It would have taken me no more than 15 minutes to take my character over here and just put them in that pose, and it would have been done deal. Twitter gotten like 4-5 likes, but that would not have been worth the price of my dignity. So, the dignity of my avatar, I should say. IRC and TeamSpeak. Oh man, so I missed out on a lot of this. I was never an MMO guy. I had a lot of friends who would spend hours and hours and hours. I had a small period of time where I was active in those kind of communities, and it was delightful. And honestly, I think some of the closest kind of bonds you can have with strangers is through voice chat, where it's just like one of those things where if you just join, it's more intimate. I'm personally more a fan of text, just because I think I'm someone who likes to think a lot about what they're going to say and how they're going to say it just constantly. I can do these streams like once a month before I'm just, like at most, before I'm just worn out and just run out of things to say. You guys got me on a good night where I had a lot of different things I wanted to talk about, and I've spent a lot of time on how to think about it. But could not keep this up for too long before I just, am just saying stupid stuff. I used to use TeamSpeak a shit ton when I played Armor 3. Yeah, and I think those kind of casual, because they're almost always TeamSpeak servers and IRC servers are almost accompanied with some kind of distraction, which I think there's a certain kind of conversation that comes around, having lots of, when you have something to do, something to keep your mind on, and then when you have those lulls while you're playing a game or something, that's when you have you can have some really deep conversations with people that you have never seen the face of, and kind of can form some lifelong bonds that way too. I think a lot of times when I think of the more intimate connections I've had on the internet, it was like I said, I was only using like TeamSpeak for a short period of time. I was playing Warframe and I was like, what was it? No, it was when Overwatch first came out. I found a group to play with, and we got on Discord to talk. Great guys. We had a lot of fun. They got sick of Overwatch before I did, but I ended up following them into Warframe and had a great time there as well. I only knew one of the people in that group IRL, and everyone else was a complete stranger to me, and it was just delightful. I enjoyed so many of the conversations we had there, the late nights. Even though I didn't always really enjoy the games we were playing that much, I still came out of it just feeling socially so much happier. Yeah. Don't see my question, so I'll repeat. I think Disc works on the principle of a closed community. Discord. Okay. I think Discord works on the principle of a closed community. It's hard to find people of interest if you aren't invited by someone else. And okay, yeah, let's get back to Discord, because Discord is absolutely fascinating to me, as well as I'm bummed that it's starting to go, I think, the way of becoming more corporatized. I really love the homegrown feel of Discord, but now it seems like they're almost trying to cater to the kids, which isn't great considering some of the allegations all these servers have had. I think Discord's amazing. Like you said, it's a combination of closed communities that are highly niche, but also being able to. It's the same appeal of, like, a lot of times the IRC and TeamSpeak, of just spending a lot of time just hanging out with people, not really doing much in particular, or needing to have a specific thing to discuss. I've been a part of Discord servers where there's movie nights, like the Discord. Like, I've tried doing some stuff on my own server, but it's not something that I feel I don't enjoy doing regularly. I don't mind popping into servers occasionally just to hear people chit chatting, but it's not too often that I find a group of people that I can constantly talk with and not really have anything to say about, that I don't feel like I need to be. I don't know. I like talking until I don't, and then I just don't want to talk ever. But yeah, feel free to check out our Discord server if you haven't already. You got a few people joining. Very nice, very nice. Got a ton of people who lurk and a few people that post actively. It's not. I like the speed of our Discord to the point where I think if my channel did take off and we blew up, and I just had hundreds and hundreds of people popping into like these kinds of streams and stuff like that, I would probably be a little bit of I'd be very guarded in how often I hand out links to the Discord, because I like the speed at which it's going right now. I can read everyone's posts. I can keep it on to where I'm notified every time somebody posts something, and I feel like I'm not missing out on anything. Where I've been a part of some Discord servers where it is just a mile a minute, and that's fun on its own, but it's fun for a very different reason. It is wild how some of the how well organized some of the servers become eventually. Salta says, "Hey, I know you are interested on internet subcultures. If you need an intro to the Latin Spanish side of the internet, you can ask me for a translation." I really appreciate it, because I know there's a whole other world of stuff out there. It's very interesting to me how the language barrier is like a physical barrier on the internet. I really enjoy how easy Twitter and Twitter specifically, because Twitter has like a built-in button. As soon as it detects any language, it just defaults to giving you the option to translate it. To where I have a few people on Twitter I follow that I don't speak their language at all, but I enjoy getting like a bare bones idea of what it is they're saying about stuff. Salta, if you want to post in the Discord on the stuff I found on the internet, that's kind of like a slower board where people kind of just whenever they come across something interesting, they write up a little post about it, and I love going through that. If there's any kind of subcultures that you'd be interested in typing up about, it doesn't even have to be much, just like, hey, this is crazy, check it out. I would love to hear about it, and I will talk to you about it. And anything that can color my knowledge of the internet as a whole, I'm super into it. Which brings us to the final topic of the evening. Starting to lose my voice because I am not practiced at this, and I need my voice for recording more animations. So probably wrapping this up soon. Don't forget, by the way, important. The kind of stuff have y'all been seeing? I really enjoyed our last stream. Internet that made you go, damn. The Yeah, we when I was trying to come up with a video and I was asking people for help on the last video where we came up with the Minecraft streamer stuff, there are so many interesting little tidbits. I would love to hear if you guys have come across anything interesting that's unique to the internet. I'd love to hear about it. I might not immediately use it in something, but I usually tuck it away and store it in the back of my head, and it might come out in some way, shape, or form. Last time somebody mentioned how there was a streamer who did some, it wasn't like incredibly illegal or immoral, but what they were doing wasn't something they were supposed to be doing, so they would frequently delete their channel and recreate it to avoid drawing too much of an audience and then therefore drawing attention to the activities they were doing. That was mind-blowing. The idea of going out of your way to not be popular on the internet was fascinating. Oh yeah, we're blowing up now. Here we go. Also, haven't seen the other message. What do you think of an idea of modern bulletin board, as in the internet being just one centralized and categorized internet forum? I don't know. That's a fascinating idea. I'm honestly kind of scared of it, not because of like how it would actually be, but I feel like the only reason we would get to that point is due to enough government regulation, and I think that would only be a few steps away from like, oh, this is the account where you have to use your social security number to get onto it. I'm having trouble imagining what that would be like culturally. Because I'm just too caught up in the idea of like what would result in that happening. In a big way, I was describing how Twitter is kind of a clusterfuck just because of how many professional and public figures are on there, along with internet trolls. It would depend on how the format of the site works, because a big part I've discovered about internet subcultures is, Reddit, 4chan, Tumblr. These are all completely different communities, not just because of their formats, but because of the history of the cultures. So if you tell me if there was one big internet that everyone was on, that's hard to wrap my head around, because it's like I have no idea what that would look like, or how it would function. Would everyone be forced into this place? There'd be a lot of people complaining about whatever it is and however it works, just based on the fact that it's not what they'd be used to. People are still to this day complaining about, like Reddit's constantly changing their functionality, so people hate that. Tumblr hasn't changed their functionality nearly enough and is just caught in the Stone Age, and people complain about that. 4chan is... Weirdly, 4chan is like the most defunct, but also like it was the it's not broken, so don't fix it kind of website communication. I would say 4chan is weirdly like, as much as 4chan complains about everything, people rarely complain about the way 4chan functions, which is interesting. Specifically, I like the idea that all you can't post media directly. You can only upload to a specific service and link to it. I do like the idea of preventing re-uploads, but even re-uploads have their own, kind of unique role. I used to hate re-uploads on YouTube, and I think the term was bootjacking. Someone came up with the idea of like someone else re-uploading and taking credit for something. I personally, a long time ago, was very bothered by that, because I would see people uploading animators' work, and I would just be like, oh my god, can you imagine spending all those months and then seeing someone else get more popular? But what I've discovered is that if you're good enough, people will find the artist and find the source. And if you're not, you don't even have to be that good, honestly, just be good at making yourself publicly known. Honestly, though, I do like the way you're thinking. You're asking the kind of questions that it's very fascinating. I'd love to have like a longer conversation with you about it, just because it's like I like coming up with, I don't know. I'm not super good at programming and like formatting and trying to figure out the best way to like corral people. I'm usually more of like an anthropologist, not like professionally or anything, but like in terms of like how I go about exploring the internet, I'm more like, oh, what's happening over here? Whoa, that's crazy. But the idea of like a centralized, categorized internet forum that you can't post media directly. You can only upload to a specific surface and link to it. It's interesting. It would definitely create an interesting culture. I have no idea what that culture would be like, though. Dutch memes are pretty spicy. Mr. Heavyman, I believe you. I made Switzerland video. I still pull in a few people from the Swiss crowd. I remember their memes were quite powerful, and don't think it's the same thing. I know a depressing, as an American, I know a depressing amount of things about Europe. I apologize for comparing those two, or if I apologize for assuming they're not the same thing. I don't know. Sorry. Sounding more Canadian in there. Except for the time I talked about that Kung Fu Panda strangling comic. Whoa, did I miss something? Did you get censored and that's the only I'm hearing the third half of that? Bro, someday I tell 4chan equivalent of Latin America that was on it. Yes, I'd love to hear about that. The 4chan equivalent of a Latin American that was also a Facebook group. It's a long story. I'll write it down someday. Yeah, I mean, just know that the shorter it is, the quicker I'll be able to read and digest it and get something out of it. But if you want to write up an essay, I will do my best to ingest it and use it to the... There's so many stories, Salta, out there that are all really, really compelling that it's like fascinating to me because we're at a point of history where history is literally being made every day and there's clear record and documentation over it. The challenge at this point is just to process that information and kind of get some kind of meaning out of it. That's like the real challenge. I saw a Troll G meme referencing the King's Pact. If you could elaborate on that, some guy, I'm curious what you mean by that. What happened to Bob the Tanker and ASCII? Wow, Bob the Tank. Are you talking about the really, really old Google Plus This Is Bob thing? Because something that I have been taking... Okay, I've been praising TikTok and talking shit about YouTube, but I will say this about YouTube. TikTok has I think 80 character limit on their comments, and it's painful. I hate it. It's the worst. I think even Twitter has longer tweets now than TikTok allows for its comments, and it's the worst. And YouTube allowing infinite comment length, I'm not sure if they still do that. They did for a while, and that was great. And it's still great, and I love them for it. And as long as they allow comments, I will still love YouTube to some degree. I wish they would stop deleting them, especially the funny ones that are really crude. Sailor Boy. All right, this is recent, but it's like a life imitates art kind of thing, than vice versa. VTuber I watched streamed with her gin mates in VR chat with small avatars. Just happened to imitate a pose of an art drawn of her. Sailor, I might need you to clarify. It sounds like you're saying that these VTubers were imitating art and then accidentally, kind of recursively, did a pose on accident that someone had already done some art for. You're definitely more in tune with the... I still never watched... You sent me that link to VTuber lore. I haven't checked that out yet. I need to. Some guy said, decided to research the Seal of Solomon, and now the Book of Revelations makes... Oh, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, be careful. There's a chunk of people, Christians, who are really obsessed with end of days to the point of, I don't know. I don't trust people I think there are a lot of people who get obsessed with the end of the world to the point where I start to question if they're excited about it, you know? I look at those guys the same way I look at the women who are super, super into podcasts about murder and stuff like that. And I'm just like, why though? I think I've had a few explain it to me. I kind of get it. I don't think they are murderers. I'm confident about that, but I still am not able to reciprocate that. Only thing 4chan complains about are the Jannies. Yes, the mods. Everyone hates mods. That's a universal thing, though. I don't even think that's necessarily the hatred of mods and janitors is there's not a good way to be a moderator. You're going to anger someone either through action or inaction. It's just no win situation. Check out meme analysis. He does fills. I love meme analysis. If you look on my channel to the beginning of the year, I told you to experiment to see if I can pull in a bigger crowd by doing things I want to do, but trying to do them in a way that might bring in a crowd. I just totally ripped off his video format style at the beginning of this year, and I made about 5 videos. I think it's in a playlist called Meme Lore or Internet Lore, and I had some mild success. I was really proud of like 1 or 2 of them, and also January and February were extremely eventful times in the world and not just the internet. So I think those will prove to be interesting as time moves on. But I got kind of tired of the format, and one of the main reasons I was doing it was because I was hoping it would draw in more of a crowd, and I ended up having about the same numbers that I do most of my stuff. So went back to just regular animating at that point. But I love meme analysis. I often will just watch his videos to learn about something that I missed. And I'm pretty happy to say it's usually only like 1 in 5 of his videos that I feel like I need to watch because I didn't know what he's talking about. But I love when I don't know the meme, it makes the philosophical aspect of it that much more interesting. Just to kind of get, because he brings a level of depth to memes that I really enjoy. And I've tried doing in some of my own videos before he became popular. But he's great at it. And I was a fool to try and step on his turf, but I had to try. Meme analysis watchers are very based. It's true. You can only clearly do it through JPEGs. I discovered it through the root. Oh, Zor, you remember? I do love weird internet stuff. The strangling comic, I must have blocked that from my memory. If you did post that on the server. Yeah, when it comes to kink stuff, I don't say kink, but I'm really talking about anything that is like that level of enjoyment, that type of enjoyment, I'll say. It does get a little strange because one, it's a sensitive topic for a lot of different reasons. I made one video called "The Greatest Crime of All" on the internet, like being horny on Maine or something, and it's such a controversial topic. Even just talking about sex in general, and they're reminding like pro-sex or anti-sex or whatever. Everyone has a very, very strong opinion on sex, and even without getting into the weirder things people like, it becomes a topic that I really can't, I struggle to explore in a way that isn't just, haha, look how gross that is. And I try to go a little bit beyond that, because there's an endless supply of gross out content on the internet, and I think after a while, I think it can be very engaging when you first start getting into that kind of stuff, like the shock of really brutal or horrible or just disgusting things on the internet. And then after you do it for a while, you start to become numb to it, so it's not as entertaining. And then after a while, you realize that numbness is kind of a reaction that your brain is having and is trying to stop you from it's not good. It's not a healthy thing. At least it wasn't for me. Maybe there's someone out there who is fine with it, because it's one of those things that, like, there's a meme on Twitter, actually just all over the internet, where the internet can ruin your sense of humor, where eventually you just find the weirdest things entertaining when no one else finds them to be funny. And I think exploring that kind of content can do the same thing to you. I guarantee you, I have seen weirder things than Kung Fu Panda strangling comic. That's not if you did show that to me and it seemed like it was an awkward situation. If the awkwardness from my part, if that was me you're talking about, probably came more from I'm not really sure if there's much to gain from me risking my own mental health on exploring that. Which isn't to say it was particularly jarring. It was just like a you kind of at this when you've seen as much stuff as I have, you kind of start doing like a cost to benefit like ratio of like, all right, is there anything going on in this Kung Fu Panda strangling comic that I haven't already seen and that I feel like I can benefit from? Which is in a lot of ways even weirder. But it's kind of the questions I had to ask myself. But I love hearing about weird internet cultures doing weird things. But when it's like, when the weird thing is, look what this person's turned on by, or something like, and also like I'm just jumping to conclusions, assuming this Kung Fu Panda strangling comic is sexual in nature. But even if it's not, it's almost just as disturbing if it's like a snuff comic or something. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I guess I'm coming at it from the like, is this worth my mental health? And it's not like it would do a traumatic amount of damage to me. It's more like it would probably just be like a little bit of a chisel, just a little bit of a chip off my brain that I'd just be like, all right, that's gone. It's not a big deal. But is it worth it if it's something that I've already, am aware exists out there? I'm aware that people are getting off to weird things and making weird content and just for the sake of being, I don't know. I don't know. That is a question I ask myself a lot. Why did someone make this? And try to figure out their motivations. And a startling amount of time, the person who's making it doesn't even know, but they make it anyways because they like it. Sailor says I can only clearly go through JPEGs discovered through. Ooh. Oh, okay, Azul. All right, I'm sorry. I just now saw. I do remember this. I think if I can get down to it. It was awkward, but I mostly felt like it was. I felt awkward in that situation. If I remember correctly, this is the person. If you're the person I think you are, I wasn't gonna read all that. I'm sorry. It was an essay, and I am happy for people to make their mark on the server and pour their hearts out. I felt bad that I didn't have the energy to read all that. And also everything I just said still applies to that because I don't know if I wanted to expose myself to it. I'm happy though. Honestly, any type of media out there, regardless of what it is or what it's talking about, if it can bring you to feel things that you wouldn't have otherwise felt and figure out things about yourself or recognize feelings that you didn't have before, if art moves you, it is significant and it is worthwhile. I'm very much like a libertarian with my art. I don't care what it's about. If you feel like it has a significant impact on you, I'm happy for you. I'm glad you found it. And I'm sorry I couldn't reciprocate that in that moment and that you put all that work in to express that sentiment. That's all I got to say about it, basically. I'm sorry I didn't read all of it. I'm glad you did type it up, though. Thank you. I'm sorry if you felt weird doing that and no one really responded to it in the way you were hoping. But I'm glad you posted it. I'm seeing... I don't personally see the biblical apocalypse as being the end of days as much as I see it being the end of days. Oh, we getting into this, huh? We getting into apocalypse stuff. Hey, Jacob. Rylanor's Last Stand, that was the music you mentioned earlier, right? I am going to copy and paste that over here off into another window, and I will check that out at a later point. Honestly, we have a few people, Jacob, in our Discord server, and I posted the link to that up a little higher, that I know are working on animating their own music and stuff like that. I love animating stuff to music. It's not something I do very often, but I'm like, I've heard a few people do this where it's like there's like the type of condition where you can see sounds and you can like associate sounds with colors. I have a hard time not choreographing, doing some sort of cinematography to music I'm listening to. Uh, if you, Rye Lenore's Last Stand is awesome, might steal it, might animate something to it, but it would also be in a pile of things that I want to animate and get done, and music videos I want to make. I really want one of my series to take off to the point where they're popular enough that I could justify just hiring another team of animators that I could then throw at an idea. Like I could storyboard something, then throw them at it to make something for me while I work on other things, and then I could just have music videos whenever I feel like it. I will listen to it after the stream though, and I will try and get back to you on that. Or if you want to join the Discord, or just I know you're on Twitter. I've seen you a few times on there. Message me about it, DM me, and I will check it out, and we can talk about it then. Benefit of having a smaller audience: I can give all y'all as much attention as I can offer, and I'm not really gonna lose any sleep over it. Because y'all are special. As long as I don't get too popular, then I'm not gonna be able to read all of these one after the other. If we get into Revelations and Apocalypse stuff, then we are truly far and away from internet stuff, and I'm kind of okay with it. Hey, Glassman, I don't think I've seen you pop in here. My sense of humor violently oscillates between died with the passage of time to salmonella binges. I don't know what that means, but interesting comment. And elaborate if you can or feel like it. Alright, see you, Salta. Fuck yeah, Synesthesia. Yeah. Alright, no, Jacob, I'll definitely listen to it, man. I love epic stuff. I've got a playlist that is just my 404 Tales playlist, and I've arranged it like it's a big, epic, long movie. And just kind of hit on all the different things that I want to hit emotionally in that order. And now when I work on stuff, depending on where I'm at in the story or what parts I'm doing, I will listen to certain sections of the playlist. And it is very good. And sometimes I'll just put it on just to get hyped about stuff and get motivated to work on things because it'll remind me of cool ideas I've had. Yeah, if I was like a billionaire, I would just permanently have an animation studio staffed with people, and I would just be like, here's the next song I want you to make into an epic. Here, storyboard artist, is what I'm thinking. You do this, and then I'm going to go over here and do whatever. Let me know how it turns out. Mon said, you know how you have an anime PFP became such a generic reply when people want to cop out. Yeah, no, Amon, that's actually like exactly what I was talking about with the ratio. Like that feels like the same kind of cop out defense where I don't have to argue with you because X. And there's also a lot of arguments that are just easy to default to that don't even have to necessarily pertain to the thing you're discussing, and you can just whip it out as a like instant ender, and you really have to be good at navigating around those like conversation enders, interrupters, destroyers, if you want to keep the conversation going, and you have to kind of really deal with them on a case-by-case basis. The ratio meme, for example, is like you can say like there are people who are sick of that meme, so you can just like appeal to the people who are sick of that meme to counter the ratio. And if you can get more likes than the person saying ratio, you've already beaten them in a big way. The anime profile picture one it was unique to Tumblr, so I don't think a lot of people know about it, but there's a Bidoof poster, someone called the Bidoof poster, who, it was a very interesting little saga, where they had one post went viral, where they're talking about how on Tumblr, you can always find some people with certain opinions, and it wasn't, I think, necessarily anime profile pictures, but they said, like, it was like, they'd always have liked, you know, hot anime girls, like oh, whenever this person has this argument, you can go to their page and instantly see they like this thing. And for a long time, people use this Bidoof poster's response, like a screenshot of it, as like that, conversation ender, that debate ender. Like, I don't have to argue with you because you like these things. But then, interestingly, the Bidoof poster was exposed for being kind of a sex pest themselves, and then so it was almost like an antitoxin to the conversation ender, or like a reverse, like an Uno card, where people would post the Bidoof poster like, haha, I don't have to reply to you because you like these things. And then they'd be like, well, you agree with this person and you're using this person's image, so, and that guy's a sex pest, so what does that say about you? So it was like an interesting kind of counter to it. And really, if you want to get around those kind of things, you just kind of have to learn the key to just like instantly disabling that post as well. And sometimes you can't really figure that out on your own, but if something's being used enough, like Ratio, you can start to see other people countering it, and just pay attention and you can see those. Okay. Going back up. Sam O'Nella was the Stickman educational videos guy that went MIA a year or so back. Edgy jokes and shit. I don't know who Sam O'Nella is. The stick figure educational videos guy sounds like CGP Grey. But okay, so when I looked up the guy, I was like, as I was looking him up, I was saying, okay, I think there's a lot of guys like that. His Twitter description is, hey, it's that stick figure guy from YouTube. No, the other one. And I still don't necessarily know who he's talking about. The profile picture looks somewhat familiar. Here, I'll bring it over here so you guys know what I'm looking at. This guy. I recognize him. I don't think I've watched any of his content. Let's see. That was my sense of humor violently oscillates between died passage of time too. All right. As for not being here before, I haven't been around here much since the Old Lady Destroys Comic Saga wrapped up. Hey, Glassman, you're not missing out on much, man. I post pretty infrequently. It's usually in short bursts like this, where I'll have a new video and then I'll do a long stream or something like that. Well, long, quote unquote. But no, I'm glad you're here, man. I appreciate it. I'm not sure where you found us from, but I'm happy to have you here. Thanks for joining. Lon says, do you know what's this meme of, oh, you're Brazilian, British, French? I think automatically assuming someone is suffering and should be put out of their misery based on their country that hasn't even been notorious lately is called racism. I mean, racism, it's racism adjacent, right? Where it's saying the person living in certain country, I don't need to argue with you because you are from country. It's another one of those conversation shutdowns. And it's that one's... I haven't heard that one. Yeah, it's pretty dismissive, and there's not a whole... You'd have to find what I was talking about. You have to find that kind of response that can quickly... The kind of retort... Because the thing is like, unless there is when these kind of, retorts are so broad and usually have nothing to do with what you're probably talking about, that means you can probably just dismantle it with a very similar response. Just equally as surface level insulting, which might not be something you're comfortable with doing or happy to do, or just somehow brushing it off. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes even responding in a negative way to those comments can just sound like you're like upset. So you really have to be careful about how you respond to them, almost more careful than you would actually building up an actual argument, because it's an appeal to emotion in a lot of ways. If you can make someone laugh, that can be devastating. If you can make a lot of people laugh, that can be really devastating. Oh, you're Brazilian, British, French. You put them out of their misery. That's such a shutdown. Oh my god, that's brutal. Because it not only implies that like, oh, you're in a bad country, but it's like I pity you to the point where you don't need to be alive anymore. That's brutal. That's an assault on so many different levels. And like that's probably why you're seeing it a lot. If you are seeing it a lot, it's effective in how destructive of an insult that is. Uh, okay, people are typing a lot. Actually try to keep it short to begin with. It's hard to not go deep off and talk about it. Yeah, some guy. I wanted to say something about this, but honestly, that's such a different conversation that I mean, I would have to pull it and because it sounds like you're actually diving deep into like the mythology and the history and its application and the role it's played in the world, and that is a in-depth topic. That is something that you could absolutely just go down a rabbit hole on. It sounds like you've been down that rabbit hole and you're kind of climbing back up out of it now to report back. Um, when it comes to kind of the stuff I cover, I kind of have to limit myself sometimes to internet communities, or I try to, because at least that way gives me a kind of handhold to make it applicable to other people. It sounds like you're diving deep into the subject itself, which I do find fascinating. But there's a lot of things I find fascinating, and when it comes to this channel in particular, I try and often fail to not go too deep into the topics themselves, and except like in a very broad, big picture kind of way. Um, just because sometimes you have to get really into the nitty gritty to appreciate or to understand exactly what's going on. And I don't. There's so many things I can look into, and I try to keep a big picture mentality as opposed to diving in too deep to one particular subject. Um, Consider an RPG where the ratio is your health bar. I like that. I think there's. I would love to come up. I think there is like a social justice warriors RPG, and that actually did for a while. That was pretty formative to how I thought of winning internet arguments, and they kind of ranked it based off of 3 meters, which was your I think they had it as like mental sanity and reputation, and maybe like I think that was it. And then for a while, I thought that was a really effective way to judge how well someone was doing in an internet fight. But gradually over time, I've realized that when it comes down to it, it's literally just ego. Because some people don't care about the reputation, and some people are just straight up insane. So those two metrics don't really count for some people. But what it really comes down to is ego, and what you're really trying to do is find out why a person is fighting, and if you can attack them in such a way that hurts them as like a motivator. It's something I want to. I'm going to be exploring this in the next koala video, depending on how people respond to it. But like in the Ruth video, I already kind of got down to what made Ruth so devastating. It was the fact that she had such a massive ego and sense of self-worth and such little respect for all the people on the internet. She was just, and then on top of that, she also knew how to get at people's insecurities with very little information. The giga boomer, if you will, and just a juggernaut. And I haven't really seen anybody who's. I've seen a lot of people who have a huge amount of self-worth and very little respect for other people online, but usually that comes. They usually go ignored. I kind of gave Ruth the superpower of being able to pick out insecurities because that made her a force to be reckoned with. Where oftentimes when somebody has such a super inflated ego, they aren't even aware of how much of an idiot they look like. Oftentimes they don't really make convincing arguments. They just make arguments that they think sound good. And oftentimes that's kind of results more in a lolcow than anything, which is like somebody people study and observe for entertainment, which is like the opposite of being an influential person. You're basically a accidental gesture for people on the internet. But yeah, I've put a lot of thought into what an internet health bar would look like. Sorry, went off on a little tirade there. Some guy said I could sit here and type for hours, honestly, but it's 9 at night, and I absolutely do not have time and energy to delve into the depths of my schizophrenic delusions of grandeur. Yeah, I get that vibe from a lot of Revelations folks, and I appreciate it does help that you're a little self-aware. I don't necessarily believe that, but it does put my my mind at ease to know you're at least aware of that perception people have of that community. I'm falling behind. Sailor Boy, but what about derailing a thread through massive amounts of BBC Femboy JPEGs? Is that a ratio? That is an attack of sorts, I would say. I think there's a lot of people who use raids like that as a psychological assault. I would imagine that as being like a calling in a strike, a bombing onto a thread. That's a type of attack. That's how, if I were to create a visual metaphor in one of my videos of someone derailing a thread with BBC Femboy JPEGs, I would phrase it as like a bomber being called in and dropping in JPEGs. Because that's effectively what it does. It's like it just turns the thread into chaos and everyone runs for cover, basically. Not to mention, this is absolutely not the ideal medium to discuss such topics as death. I agree. So, considering I've spent like 10 minutes since you posted that. Glassman said, Pokemon JoJo Edition found its way into my Rex about 3 years ago, and the rest was history. See, that's the main reason I want to unlist that video so bad, because it's so contrary to everything else I do on my channel, but it pulls in numbers. People find me through that, and then occasionally will look for other memes that I've done. There's not a lot. Maybe I should do more. I mean, not as a shutdown, but the replies that joke violence against French, as in wiping the country off the map, is considered justified. Yeah, I think it is one of those things, Amon, that are like something of a threat, something of a joke. It's something to knock you off your feet, basically. They're not necessarily threats of violence, but they're close enough to make you go, whoa, what the hell was that? Seen so many jabs at English cooking specifically. Yeah, and really, like, you can look at 4chan and how they wear insults as almost like as identifiers. Like, they've been like certain people from certain countries. Like, you can go to the international board and thanks, Glassman. The international board on 4chan is such a rich wealth of ways to insult their countries. And it's absolutely racism, I will agree with that. But it's also, it's like learning self-defense, if that makes sense. Like, as an American, I've just developed a tolerance to every cruel thing you could say to Americans, and there's a lot you can say. And even better, after you've developed that kind of emotional barrier to protect yourself, you can even start to learn some great clapbacks that will knock them off their feet, especially if you happen to know the country of their origin. At that point, it's just kind of like, how much you want to retaliate to someone. Amon says, libertarians and Republicans claim each other is a draconian dystopia, but a wide, strict behavior code just makes them both oppressive. I'm surprised only the right wing gets attention nowadays. Libertarians and Republicans is an interesting dichotomy. I think dichotomy is the right word there. I might be wrong. I'm getting kind of tired. Oh wait, Sailor Boy also said, now here's where it goes into the funny sector. Did they type those jabs in English because they'd be maximum funny despite being multilingual? Yeah, no, see, Sailor Boy gets it. Sailor Boy, I think, is definitely from 4chan. Just from how we've communicated and the kind of means he's aware of. But yeah, I think that 4chan is a good place to... That's so weird. I don't like... Is Twitch better? I don't really want to pad Amazon's pockets any more than I already do, but I might try experimenting with doing a stream on Twitch. If at the very least they don't, I don't know. I know they do some censoring. I know simp is an illegal word. But I'm also annoyed by, it sounds like a lot of people are getting censored on here. Might be a conversation for another time down there, Amon. Because getting into heavy politics there, which is a topic I love to talk about, too much so. When I talk about arguing with people being a detriment to my mental health, that's usually what I'm talking about. But I think Netscape Navigators, we're going to call it there, because I am about at the end of my rope. Voice tired, brain fuzzy. This has been fun. I need to recharge. I'm going to go ahead and actually post the koala video on TikTok. See if that pulls in any numbers, any interesting responses. Twitch gets so much shat on in the past month. Yeah, no, I think that Twitch is an interesting spot where I think it's one of the few social media platforms that is, I'd say Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube are all such established social media platforms now that like they're entirely dependent upon for people putting out content and communicating with other people, and yet also all like universally hated. It seems like a weird thing to defend these platforms now, or you're seen as like a suck up for doing so. Even if they do something good, it still feels weird to hear someone going, "Yeah, good job, YouTube." And I think it's because they've reached such a massive level where people feel dependent on them, but also like that they're never going to hear anything they're saying. Hey, Alex. Hey, it's Roots. Yo, hey guys. Night, some guy. Y'all came in just as I was saying goodbye to people. I'm glad y'all made it though. Y'all are my animator buddies, my Newground friends. Love y'all. I'm glad y'all made it in. Name a platform that isn't hated. I mean, I would Newgrounds, bam, right there, right then. I think back in the day, Newgrounds might have been hated back when it was very popular. I'd say Newgrounds is still fairly popular, especially now after all this recent Friday Night Funkin' stuff. Like, I think there are people and creators on those platforms that are hated, and maybe they're associated with the platform. But Newgrounds is getting like a crazy amount of love right now, and I think it's entirely deserved because it's one of the few platforms I think that is popular enough to be sustainable and have a lot of fresh content every day. And also on top of that, it caters to newer creators. I've told the story a few times where I spent 6 months working on the very first video for the channel, poured my heart and soul into it, uploaded it onto YouTube, and just watched the view counter stay at 0 for days. Posted it on Reddit and our videos, got like 1 view and no interaction other than that. Took that post down, re-uploaded it onto our video, got banned from our video from that. And it was just like I had to start finding obscure subreddits. I think I got like up to 15 views at one point, and it was just so disheartening after spending so much time working on it that I wasn't even getting any responses, period. I post it on Newgrounds and get some traction, and then Tom Fulp himself shows up and says good job and puts me on the front page, my very first video. And that was so crucial to me still doing this today. Just to be witnessed is so important for any creator. Just to be like being seen. It's huge. And Newgrounds, even if not every Tom Fulp isn't talking to every single person, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, but it encourages people to check out content that hasn't been seen yet. It encourages people to leave reviews and criticisms, and rewards you for just generally enjoying content that creators make, and it motivates and encourages and cultivates a healthy perspective of art that you really don't get anywhere else. Where everywhere else it's a buffet line, right? It's you don't see the people making it. It just comes out. It's slopped in front of you, and you go yay or nay, and then move on. And oftentimes you could even be upset if whatever comes out in front of you isn't well prepared enough. Where on Newgrounds, it's presented as a treat. Like, hey, you're one of the first people to see this. Offer some commentary, give some reviews, blam it, love it. Your contribution is important. Oh my gosh, the Pyro collaboration. What? I don't even know what that is. The Pyro collaboration. Is that like I made a TF2 video a long time ago, I think, or something like that. Pyro. Do you find you lose subscribers from streaming? Like, I've been so inconsistent that my subscriber numbers are not reliable. Like, I would not, the number has changed so little, both up and down, that it is not dependable as a metric. Like, I would not offer any advice on what does or does not get me subscribers. At this point, I look and see when I upload videos every few months, if it did better or worse than the last ones. You missed this whole conversation, and I think you guys might have already been on it long before I was. I'm curious how you guys have responded. I know you guys are posting some content on TikTok. I've gotten some surprisingly good numbers from TikTok, and I've kind of started, shaping my content for that just to see if I can keep pulling in numbers. I was curious as to like how y'all were doing on TikTok. I need to follow you. Can you guys post a link to your? I don't know if you can. DM me. you have my information, Root and Digby. Y'all send me your TikTok because I want to follow you on there. Okay, going back up. I'm re-energized by new folks coming in. Pity that social media platforms are so integrated into society to the point where you need an account somewhere. I get that dismay. I will say that, fortunately, I think you can still keep a pretty low, if you're smart about it, a pretty low like internet carbon footprint, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have to have a Facebook. You might anger some relatives by not having a Facebook, but they're not going to hate you for it. You should have some kind of resume online somewhere to help you get a job somewhere. But otherwise, I'm happy to say that you really don't have to. You could even be a ghost online, right? Like, there are people who lurk. Like, there's a ton of people on my Discord server who I've talked to a few recently who say that, oh, I read everything, I just don't post at all. And I'm like, oh, I forget about you guys. I think there's even a step above that where you have a lot of people who are online but don't log in or interact in any way whatsoever. And I think if you are worried about, having to have a presence online, there's a lot of ways to work around that. So at least there's that. I should ask Root and Digby, are you guys losing streamers? Or losing subscribers from streams? That sounds backwards. Last minute, because staying away from socials is one of the main ways to maintain one's fading sanity. Absolutely true. You should take a break whenever you feel like you need to. One of the things I'm trying to do with my channel is to visualize how brutal the internet can be. Getting into a fight with someone for hours at a time can psychologically feel like you were literally fighting in a fight with someone. Okay, so did we make any ideas for the animation? Ironically, the above stuff YouTube chat censored just... Oh, that stinks, Amon. Y'all, go into the Discord. I posted a link up above. It's going to be good for 12 hours. Post in the 404 talk if you have ideas about the video. That is originally what I was hoping we would talk more about, but I also just love hearing whatever y'all want to talk about, and I also love hearing the sound of my own voice. So if you have ideas based off, like, as a sequel, also just comment on the koala video if you have an idea of what to do. I will be paying close attention to those over the next couple of days, probably replying to a lot of them. But if you want to play an active role in where the story goes, I'm all ears. And there's a lot of different places you can reach out to me. I would say the most interesting place, if you want to contribute to that conversation, would be the comment section. These videos are all about the comments. I want to make them the co-star, so to speak. I want them to be characters themselves. The drink deep and descend comment was so good that I gave it a special place in the video. Even though, like, I took a very different interpretation of it than I think some other people did when I showed it to them, and that I needed to go back and do some revisions so I could, like, because a lot of people see different things when they hear drink deep and descend. So, but no, if you want to have an impact on future videos, leave a comment on that one. It's going to, I want it to kind of be a companion piece. Like, you want to really appreciate these videos, you should leave a comment, read the comments, etc. Newgrounds is great. The internet is a better place with it around. I agree, Root and Digby. It's interesting, though, because I definitely remember a time, and you can go back to, like, some of the earliest contributions to Newgrounds. It was kind of the 4chan of the internet a little bit, where people were just intentionally being edgy because they could. It was the internet. I can make a Torture Pikachu video game if I want to. So it wasn't always the most beloved place. I think the original reason we brought it up is because we're like, oh, every social media platform is hated. Newgrounds, I think, is mostly considered a very positive place now. It's interesting. Does YouTube filters don't like mentioning disc? I guess so, Amon. If you're having to censor it, I'm only seeing your weird little censored versions of it. That's interesting. I wonder if my link... I think my link got through. A lot of people didn't join. You still have a couple minutes. Check 404 Talk briefly. I'll probably do that after I end the stream. We don't post on TikTok anymore since it was a pain to format the videos to be vertical, but we should give it another shot, honestly. Yeah, we lose subs from streaming. Why? That doesn't make any sense. YouTube's so backwards. I guess the only thing I can think of is that y'all, because your content is so... It feels, your guys' content feels so much like something exactly what I would see on, like, 90s Nicktoons, or like just like a quick blurb I'd see while watching cable TV, and I love it. I love what you guys are doing. I've seen your guys stream, but it might be that, like, I've kind of worked in my narrator, Jack Crumb guy, TV headman dude personality into my videos. It might help if you guys, because I know you guys are doing art in your streams, it might help if you do art as the characters, or maybe you can say, like, oh, the person doing art is the guy we hired to make our videos. Like, you guys can still kind of do the characters. That might be a more, that might be why you're losing subscribers now that I think about it, because it is like a very different kind of content compared to the rest of your channel. Like, people can enjoy a cartoon without wanting to watch hours of it, maybe. Also, in regards to the vertical format, so for this most recent video, I made it in a square aspect ratio, which is kind of alienating, I guess, but it was easy for me to format it for both YouTube and TikTok because of that. I was able to, like, I didn't have to worry about cropping anything. It was a small change. And then, I don't know if you, like, if you remember, there used to be, like, a little device that lets you plug your Game Boy into the TV, like, a long time ago. It's super old. But they would, like, have cool little designs in the borders of, like, they wouldn't just have it be blank. They would, like, I think I remember seeing a screen of, like, Pokemon, and the borders around it were, like, a unique Pokemon exclusive border. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it. If you look at this most recent video, I kind of created, like, a cool, at least I thought it was cool, mirrored reflection that kind of looked like made it look like the video was glowing instead of just being a regular border. So that's something. I already commented on Koala video, though it's a rather quick comment. I may give it deeper thought. Amon, I'd love to hear it. Oh, did I already comment on it? We talked a bit. Yeah, vertical video. What was really weird was I had a completely square aspect ratio, and I test uploaded it onto YouTube, just thinking YouTube's pretty good at formatting to whatever you have. and adjusting around that. I uploaded it with a perfectly square aspect ratio, not thinking I would need to add a border. And for some reason, it only, and it never gave me the option to turn this off. It just assumed I was doing a 3D video, like one of those VR videos where you can put on Google Glasses or whatever. And no matter what I do to convince it, it was like, oh, square aspect ratio, this is a 3D VR experience. And it was just a really hard way to watch my video, was all it ended up being. So don't upload in perfectly square aspect ratio. But working in a perfectly square aspect ratio means you don't have to crop anything, or at least you can plan around the square. Yeah. Okay, 11:30. I don't get how people are able to do streaming for several hours. It's insane to me. I know I haven't taken a break yet, but if I took a break right now, I would just pass out. I wouldn't come back. But I've had an amazing time. Hopefully, anyone coming back to watch these, because I know we get a couple hundred views on these once we come back. Hello to all of you. Feel free to leave comments below if you like the fact that I'm acknowledging you right now, or if you just like watching streams long after they've been streamed. I know you're out there. Appreciate y'all. Thank all y'all for coming out. Go watch the koala video. I believe it's currently called, and I may change the name of it. Oh my god, what did I call it? Honestly, I change these names pretty regularly based on how well they're doing. It is called I Let the Comments Decide What I Should Animate Next. Go watch that video, and please leave a comment so that I can decide what to animate next. And thank you all so much for coming. Thanks for stopping in if you stopped in. Thanks for continuing to acknowledge my existence on the internet and justify this dumb, crazy, awesome habit that I have. I love doing this. I love being here. I love making stuff for y'all. And hey, stay safe out there. I hope you all have a good night. And have a good evening. That's good now, Gators.